Right now, without thinking about it, pick up the nearest object beside you. Go ahead, notice which hand you used. Almost certainly, it was your right hand. You did not decide to use it. You did not think about it. Your brain just sent the signal, and your right hand moved. It has been doing that your entire life. Every pen you have ever picked up, every door you have ever opened, every phone you have ever held, always the right hand, always without thinking. Here is what nobody has ever told you about that. The fact that your right hand is dominant is not random. It is not cultural. It is not something your parents taught you. It is the result of a biological transformation that began happening inside the human brain somewhere between 2 million and 1.8 million years ago, and the story of how it happened and what it did to your brain and what it means for who you are right now is one of the strangest and most personal things you will ever hear about yourself. Because here's the thing, you are not just right-handed. You are right-handed for the same reason you can speak, for the same reason you can plan ahead, for the same reason you can imagine something that does not exist yet. Handedness, language, and abstract thought are all the same thing wearing different clothes, and your right hand is the visible tip of something that goes so deep into what makes you human that by the time you reach the end of this, you will look at your own hand differently than you ever have before. Let us start with a number, 90%. That is the proportion of humans alive today who are right-handed. Not 80%, not 70, 90, across every culture on Earth, across every language, across every religion and geography and social system that has ever existed, in countries that have never had contact with each other, in populations separated by oceans and mountain ranges, and thousands of years of independent development. 90% of all humans, everywhere, always, are right-handed. That number has not changed in recorded history, and it does not change when you go back further. Researcher Natalie Womeny at the Max Planck Institute for Evolutionary Anthropology has spent years analyzing stone tools made by ancient humans going back almost 2 million years. By studying the angle of flake scars on prehistoric stone tools, the tiny marks left by the hand that struck them, she can determine with remarkable accuracy whether the tool was made by a right-handed or left-handed individual. What she found stretches the 90% figure back further than anyone expected. Ancient human populations were already right-hand dominant at least 1.8 million years ago, before modern humans existed, before our species had even emerged. The preference for the right hand is older than Homo sapiens itself. But why? Why would evolution produce such a strong, consistent, universal preference for one hand over the other? Why not 50-50? Why not let each individual develop whichever preference worked best for them? The answer lies inside your skull, specifically inside the way your brain is organized. Your brain is divided into two hemispheres, left and right, and they are not equal. The left hemisphere of your brain controls the right side of your body, which is why your right hand is dominant if you are right-handed, because the left hemisphere is running the show. But more importantly, in approximately 95% of right-handed people, the left hemisphere is also where language lives, where Broca's area sits, the region responsible for producing speech, where Wernicke's area sits, the region responsible for understanding it. The same hemisphere that controls your dominant hand is also the hemisphere that gives you language. This is not a coincidence. Researcher Michael Corballis at the University of Auckland has argued across decades of research that the lateralization of the brain, the fact that your left hemisphere specializes in language, while your right hemisphere specializes in spatial and holistic processing, is directly connected to the emergence of handedness in human evolution. They did not evolve separately. They evolved together. The brain that learned to produce language needed to organize itself asymmetrically, and once it organized itself asymmetrically, one hand became dominant as a direct result. Think about what this means. When your ancient ancestor first began developing the capacity for language, somewhere between 2 million and 1 million years ago, their brain began to reorganize itself. The left hemisphere began to specialize, and as it specialized, it took control of the right hand. The right hand became the hand of language, of precision, of fine motor control. The hand of making and doing and shaping the world. The left hemisphere was building itself into the most powerful cognitive tool in the history of life on Earth, and your right hand was the physical expression of that process. The tools tell this story with remarkable clarity. Researcher Dietrich Stout at Emory University has used brain imaging technology to study what happens in the brain of a modern human when they nap flint, when they strike stone, the way ancient humans did to make tools. What he found was extraordinary. Napping flint activates the same regions of the the brain as language. The same left hemisphere circuits that produce speech are also active when a skilled toolmaker is shaping stone, making tools, and making language. Were not separate evolutionary developments. They were the same cognitive revolution, expressed in two different directions. Your hands help build your brain, and your brain, in building itself around language, made your right hand dominant. But here's where it gets genuinely strange, because the 90% figure, the overwhelming global preference for right-handedness, creates a question that nobody talks about. What about the 10% who are left-handed? If right-handedness evolved as a biological preference connected to brain lateralization and language, why does left-handedness still exist at all? Why did evolution not eliminate it completely? The answer, according to researcher Chris McManus at University College London, is that left-handedness has persisted across human history at a remarkably stable frequency, always somewhere between 8 and 15%, because it confers advantages in specific contexts. Historically, in one-on-one combat, left-handed individuals had a significant advantage over right-handed opponents, simply because right-handed fighters had far less experience defending against a left-handed attack. The left-handed warrior was unexpected, unpredictable, harder to read. McManus has documented evidence suggesting that in societies with higher rates of interpersonal violence, the frequency of left-handedness in the population tends to be slightly higher, because the advantage it conferred in combat was strong enough to keep the trait in the gene pool across generations. Your left-handed friends are not an accident of development. They are the descendants of warriors, whose unexpected fighting style kept them alive long enough to have children. But go back to your right hand. Go back to the hand you picked up that object with at the beginning of this, because there is one more thing about it that most people never consider. The right hand dominance of 90% of all humans means that for at least 2 million years, the vast majority of everything your ancestors made, every tool, every weapon, every drawing, every gesture, every signal to another human being, was made with the right hand. The right hand shaped human culture. The right hand drew the first cave paintings. The right hand carved the first figurines. The right hand threw the first spear with enough precision to bring down an animal that could feed a family for a week. And the cave paintings confirm it. At sites across Europe and Australia and South America, ancient humans pressed their hands against stone walls and blew pigment around them, leaving the outlines of their hands as marks that have survived tens of thousands of years. Researcher John Coles analyzed hundreds of these handprints across multiple sites and found that the overwhelming majority show the left hand pressed against the wall, which means the right hand was holding the pipe that blew the pigment. The right hand was the hand that made art. The same hand that is dominant in you today was dominant in a human being standing in a cave 50,000 years ago, pressing their left hand to the stone and making the first mark that said in the oldest language there is, "I was here." Look at your right hand right now. That preference you feel, that automatic reach, that effortless dominance that you have never once had to think about, is not yours alone. It belongs to 2 million years of human ancestors who built language and tools and weapons and art and everything that makes you human, all with the same hand. The hand you just used without thinking. The hand that has been building the human world since before the human world existed.